The basic meat and veg chord that we make up from harmonics is known as a triad, not because of any links with organised crime, but because it's made up of 3 principal notes. Here's the C major triad. You can build a triad based on any note you like. So on F, it's this, on G, it's this, and so on. In fact, every note in the Western scale is capable of generating its own major triad, so long as you enlist the help of some of the black notes, the sharps and flats. In other words, you can have 12 separate major triads, and with them you can harmonise an enormous amount of music, from the medieval troubadours to rock and roll. But if you only had those 12 major triads, you'd be missing out big time without their dark side, the minor triads. A minor triad differs from its major siblings in only one respect. Its middle note is a half step lower in pitch. This seemingly tiny adjustment has a big impact. It turns the mood of the chord somber. Why? Well, the middle note of a minor chord is much less prominent in the harmonic series than the middle note of a major chord. It's still there all right, but it's faint and distant. This weakens the minor chord. It's as if it has fewer natural ingredients. It's not so organic. It's more fragile and vulnerable than the major. That's why sad music on the whole is minor and happy music is major. Take this ravishingly beautiful and sad piece in a minor key. Because in Western music there are 12 basic notes to choose from, we now have 12 major triads and 12 minor triads, and with them we can add chords to almost any piece in the whole of the Western repertoire. There are many ways of bringing chords to life in music. One way is to have a piano or a guitar or something similar and simply thrash them out one after another in blocks underneath the melody, like this. Another way is to interweave separate individual melody lines so that they coagulate into chords as they coincide. This is called polyphony, meaning many voices. In this piece of 16th century choral music you're about to hear, the chords are made up from intermingled solo vocal lines. It's the opening of William Byrd's Mass for Four Voices, and though it doesn't sound like it, what you're actually hearing is a series of shifting chords. So how do you select the appropriate chords for a tune? Guesswork? Luck? Trial and error? Well, believe it or not, that is one way you can do it, but it's very slow and frustrating. There's a much simpler and more effective way. Each note in your melody has a possible 6 chords to which it belongs. So you decide which one of the 6 best fits the mood of the song at any particular point. Let's do it with Silent Night. First, we've got to identify the important beats or accents in the tune. These are the same as they would be if it were a poem. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. The melody notes for those important accented notes are G for silent, sa, and G again for holy, ho, and then D for the first, o, and C for the second, o. Now we've got to find strong chords to fit those notes. So the first note, sa, is a G, and it can fit G major, G minor, E minor, E flat major, and C major. But since the tune falls down to an E just in the next phrase, silent night, it would be good to have one chord that would fit both those notes. And that narrows our choice. We've got E minor, too gloomy for Christmas, I think, and C major, which sounds just right. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. This may be a very simple example, but it's a method that works. The 24 major and minor triads handled almost every harmonization going between about 1200 and 1600. Not bad. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. So we've established our basic menu of available triads thanks to nature's inbuilt harmonics. We've learnt how to fit a note to a chord, and we've got the idea that major and minor chords feel different in mood. We now also know that chords have mysterious relationships with each other that set up a kind of forward movement or progression in the way they're placed. This last technique is of vital importance to understanding why some harmony sounds great and some sounds rubbish. So let's find out more about chord progressions. All the chord progressions there are in Western music involve some kind of magnetic effect, with the stronger chords attracting and repelling the other chords around them. But there's one relationship that's more fundamental than all the others. The most important partnership between two chords in all Western music is called the tonic-dominant relationship. It's the relationship between the chords based on the first, the tonic, and the fifth, the dominant note of any scale. Each key has its own tonic-dominant chords. In the key of C, for example, they are C and G. Composers like Mozart and Beethoven were enthralled to the tonic-dominant relationship. But it isn't just classical composers who like to rock between tonic and dominant. The dominant note acts like a shadow or an alter ego to the main note, the tonic, and from the 15th century onwards, composers began to see it as an alternative centre of gravity for their tunes and for their harmonies, because they discovered that the dominant chord was dependent on the tonic. It always wanted to lead back to the tonic, and so they used this feature to great effect over and over again. Listen to this. It's the climactic ending of the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. All it is a series of dominant tonic chords thrashed out one after another. surely is excessive tonic dominance syndrome, but Ludwig van wasn't the only one at it. Between 1650 and 1850, all classical composers became infatuated with the tonic dominant relationship, so much so that they began to construct whole pieces around a journey from tonic to dominant and back again. And if you're going to take a return trip like that, you need to stop at other places on the way. So they put together strings of chords into sequences that did just that. And to see how chord sequences first emerged in Western music, we have to travel back in time to the dance music of Renaissance Europe.